Welcome back, everybody, to the ESL Hearthstone Legendary Series, brought to you guys by Newegg.com. Our next semifinals is going to be between SilentStorm and DTwo. Now, this one's really cool for me personally, just because I get to see SilentStorm play again, and he's a guy that I've been keeping my eye on. On the one hand, we have someone like DTwo, who's been performing well in recent tournaments, but he also plays pretty standard run-of-the-mill decks. I can't think of something that's like, wow, that's definitely like a D2 type of deck to play. Otherwise, just looking at standard decks. And that's not to say that he's a bad player at all. It's just that I feel like he plays stuff that you've come to expect to be strong.
Yeah, definitely he goes with those decks that pretty much everybody knows and can agree on. That's just strong in the grit meta.
And he plays them well.
Oh, yeah, very well.
Sure.
Yeah.
But then I look at someone like SilentStorm. It's like, well, he brings his own decks.
Oh yeah.
And not only does he bring his own decks, but he has his own play style, and it comes with a lot of confidence. I like where he's bringing. I like the fact that his attitude is not Warlock or Hunter, and we've got a pretty interesting lineup here. We got Priest first, Hunter to start things off. Then we got Warrior versus Warlock, and then Shaman versus Priest. Now that's going to be tough because that's again another time that SilentStorm has ran his Shaman into Priest. He's been trying to avoid this matchup, but it almost seems inevitable at this stage.
Yeah, this seems like it's pretty even matchups across the board. I would say D2 has a little bit of an advantage just because 2 out of the 3 matchups are a little bit in his favor. Queuing up his Zoo Warlock against the Warrior, probably in favor of him, and queuing up his Priest against the Shaman. But at the same time, those can usually go either way. While Warlock does do well against the Warrior, it's not as bad as it was, say, like pre-Nax or something like that. So Warrior can still pull out wins against those aggressive decks. If it can get those weapons early on and stabilize well.
Sure, makes sense to me. Well, I'm going to see whether or not SilentStorm can keep it up. Today, he's not bringing anything terribly wacky, like his Mage Giants deck with Counter Spell. It was very funky yesterday. If you guys missed that, you can go check out the VODs on the channel. But today, he's brought more of a stable core lineup, so that way he can definitely have a strong lineup against pretty much standard run-of-the-mill stuff from D2.
Yeah.
Hunter vs. Priest, that is a pretty decent opening hand for SilentStorm. D2, on the other hand, will need a little bit of help to make sure that this mulligans get straightened out.
Yeah. That's not what you want to see in your opening hand. Well, with the exception of the Undertaker, that's always something that you're looking for as the Hunter.
True. Although Undertaker could be nothing more than a Goldshire Footman if it doesn't ever get followed up upon.
Yeah.
If he gets a good curve like Undertaker into Ironbeak Owl into Animal Companion. I mean, Undertaker's actually not that useful.
Yeah.
Oh! Oh, man. I'm pretty sure D2 saw this before. He's seen a pretty poor opening. I want to say BlizzCon, where it was like one of the games he just actually didn't play any cards that he started off with because it was so bad.
Yeah.
He just kept playing off the right side of the hand. Like this. Monty Creeper.
Well, hey, what can you do? And in this situation, do you save the Circle of Healing for the Alkanai Soul Priest? Or do you get out an Injured Blade Master? Well, here it looks like he's just going to go ahead and play the Dark Cultist, so that usually means to me that he's actually going to go ahead. Well, actually, next turn he has the option to play the Injured Blade Master and heal up the Dark Cultist, but I still think the Alkanai Circle combination is just so useful against the Zoo Warlock, especially if you already have it in your hand. Still a lot of options for plays, though. Oh, sorry, no, that's Hunter. Those Undertaker decks, they always get me.
That's, I mean, they get me too, man. Don't worry. I'm with you. Yeah, this is a really strong play, especially considering that he has Alkanai Soul Priest and another Circle of Healing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, gosh, that's still a lot of damage you're taking back.
Yeah, and then he's got the Lotheb as well to sort of stop a little bit of that aggression. Of course, that Undertaker is going to go down.
Well, everything's about to go down.
Oh!
Interesting. Now you present an option where you don't have to use Alkanai. You can actually take away your opponent's secrets.
Yeah.
So that way he doesn't gain anything. I think
or
Shadow Madness is actually better.
Or you can take some spiders. Still not going to kill off the...
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay, not necessarily expecting that one, but it makes sense too. Granted that he's still in no rush. The the Hunter player might opt to still save it, but at the same time, he wants to get as much power on the board. He also ran out of spells, so the synergy is not as high as it normally is.
Well, now he can...
Snake Trap.
Ooh.
Ooh, this is what he was afraid of. If this is Freezing Trap, he is really sad. Although, if it is Freezing Trap, then Shadow Madness becomes really good.
But it's Snake Trap, so...
Yeah, right, but assuming
he doesn't know that,
SilentStorm's perspective.
Yeah.
Since we know it's Snake Trap, the best thing to do is actually to hit that Shadow Madness and kill off something else.
Yeah, yeah.
Like one of the snakes.
Yep. Ooh.
Okay, so this is a play around Freezing Trap.
And he's going to be pretty disappointed.
Yep.
When he sees that. And D2 takes a sip because he knows that he's in a good spot.
So much power on the following turn. That actually cost SilentStorm the game, I think. He's going to be taking 8 damage next turn. And then Lothep to follow it up. Wow, this game's over.
Wow, this is just so much damage.
You got Eagle Horn Bow, too.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and Lothep's just a way for him to ensure that.
Yeah, I like Lothep here a lot.
Yeah.
Any spell that is now going to cost at least 5, and you know Pyromancer costs 2, so...
Yeah, you sort of have to Lothep because you want to protect all those 1/1s.
Yeah, I mean, it's 5 damage, essentially. It's like another kill command that you got.
Yeah, yeah.
SilentStorm, like, because he didn't take a chance, like, he had to gamble, essentially, that it was not Freezing Trap.
Yeah.
And he pretended like it was, and as a result, got punished. There's nothing you can do here.
Yeah. Literally nothing, because the only thing he can do is clear off the slime from the shade, but that's 10 damage facing on board. I mean, he can't even heal up, because with the hero power, that's it. That's game over already.
Very underwhelming game number 1, and SilentStorm realizes that a lot could have changed if... I think it's a little unfair to peg it at that turn specifically, but I do feel like that was a big turning point here.
Oh, yeah. He even draws the kill command for good measure, so...
That's really bad news, because D2... I don't know if he was expecting to win this matchup, but I think he was relying on his other 2 matchups more.
Yeah.
Because he has his Priest against the Shaman, and then he has his Zoo versus the Warrior.
Yep,
like
indeed.
Those are the matchups he's like, okay, yeah, I can go into the game number 4 with a 2-1 lead. But now it's like, oh, actually, I just won game number 1. I think D2 is in a prime position 3-0.
I would definitely agree. Yesterday, though, we saw a lot of the decks that we were saying, oh, yeah, that matchup is great for this class. And that class that we picked ended up losing out.
Right.
So that happened so many times yesterday when we said, oh, we predicted, oh, this matchup's going to go this way, and it was just the exact opposite. So there's always going to be a favorite deck, but we know that in Hearthstone, that doesn't always mean too much.
The culprit was primarily Warrior versus Druid.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But let's just say SilentStorm's got some uphill climbing to do. He's unfortunately matched up just not ideal at all. Yeah, like I'm trying to think like how else he could have reordered it. I guess if he had his Warrior hit the Hunter,
and then his
Shaman, or no, his Warrior hit the Priest, his Priest hit the Warlock, and his Shaman hit the Hunter, he would have been okay.
Yeah, those are all pretty decent matchups across the board.
Yep.
But I mean, that's sort of the style of this tournament format. It's very sort of reminiscent of a ladder experience of queuing up 3 games against the same opponent on the ladder and just seeing what you get. And, I mean, there's still chances for him to come back in this one. This next one is tough for Warrior, but it's definitely doable, and it's not quite as bad of a matchup as some people may think. And if you can get some early weapons, control the board early on, maybe even get like a timely brawl at some point in the game, you can really stabilize.
Oh, man. It's going to need some help, though. Zoo is on the coin.
Yeah, I would throw everything away here if I was SilentStorm.
Yeah, I think you want Fiery War Axe very badly.
Yep. And
otherwise, you might just lose. Again, I mean, it feels like an oversimplification, but a lot of times these decisions and outcomes are snowballed upon each other. And the reality is, decision tree in games like these against Zoo and Hunter the decision tree is very limited.
Yeah.
So as a result, you have a very optimized way to play, and that's what frustrates players the most. When they're like, okay, well the game's actually already decided because Undertaker's play turn 1, I couldn't do anything. But this is why the Fiery War Axe, all of a sudden the game's been blown wide open.
This is a good start right now.
Yep.
You have the Ironbeak Owl, Armor Smith, and you have a Sledge Belcher as well. So if you can get to a point where you can hide the Armor Smith behind a Sledge Belcher, that'd be pretty good.
Right. So now, because the game hasn't been decided by a turn 1 Pyroblast, you have an opportunity for the game to develop into a way where all of a sudden you have like, well, should I trade here or should I be going to face moments?
Yeah.
Alright, Harvest Golem is still pretty good, sticky. I mean, it traded for half the body. I mean, you had two cards trade for 2 cards, essentially.
Wow, that's a very timely Death Bite draw.
Yes.
This is looking okay for SilentStorm right now. He's getting the answers that he needs early on.
Like, the less damage. This is not a lot of damage at all being taken by the warrior player. And this is not an intimidating board whatsoever.
If I'm at more than 20 health going into turn 5 as a warrior, I'm pretty happy.
This struggles actually could be really important.
Well, he's only going to have 1 shot at it. Oh, let's see.
Could be important.
Well, it's gonna. Well, either way, it's just gonna be 2 extra damage on the face.
I mean, that's pretty significant.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
And he gets it.
Well,
so the Death Bite was played first. So, well, I guess he would go for the Knife Juggler anyway in this situation.
Right.
Yep. There's Sledge. It's not often that you get to lay a Sledge Belcher against Zoo when there's just not that much threat in the board, but there's a pretty good play here. I mean, you get Dark Iron Dwarf and Abusive Sergeant to trade into the Sledge Belcher.
That's so powerful. And that's where it's like, well, it doesn't matter if you have Sludge Belcher. It's nothing more than just a little bit stronger version of Senjin, just in this scenario.
Both of these guys have had pretty decent hands.
Insta-call on Sylvanas. I was thinking about some other plays with setting up some of the smaller minions.
Come on, it's SilentStorm.
SilentStorm, of course it is.
He just plays so quickly.
Whoa! He gets Doomguard, so he just trades? Oh, okay. I thought he was going to trade boards and slam down Doomguard.
I actually would really like that play. He might have tapped a little bit too quickly.
It's fine.
Yeah.
He still can set it up, and then he's got Power Overwhelming Doomguard following turn.
Yep.
It's just a little sad because it's like, Doomguard missed 5 damage this turn.
Yeah, yeah.
But you did lose your you would have lost your Direwolf Alpha, so to speak.
Do you just trade your board in here and throw down the Direwolf, or do you actually give up one of your creatures, or just go face? Face it is. Oh, well, he's starting to get into dangerous territory here, because with the Power Overwhelming and the Doomguard next turn, that's 9 damage.
Actually, yeah, it makes a lot of sense here, because he feels like if he traded in, he missed damage.
Yeah.
But he would have missed damage they would have gotten otherwise, so this is more effective.
And big thing here is the Leopard.
That's a really good spot by DTwo. That's a
Yeah.
decision a lot of people wouldn't make.
Because that means you can't trade the Sylvanas into anything to steal any of the creatures.
Right.
But he still utilized the extra damage from the Dark Iron Dwarf. So some people would just throw down that Leopard Gnome and say, call it a day. But really just nice placement there. Setting himself up for the best chance that he has of just straight up winning the game next turn.
Okay. Oh, this is pretty clever. Sequencing so that way he can steal things.
Yep.
But still massive amount of damage. Because he's going to be able to steal everything else. Well played by SilentStorm to be able to figure this out.
Yep.
And now D2 is in an awkward spot where he can't necessarily leverage his power. Never mind. He can leverage his Power Overwhelming. Oh!
That's brutal. That is very brutal.
So based off this knowledge, in hindsight, he should have Doomguard.
Yeah.
But that's of course we had this luxury.
Hindsight is 20/20.
Because he would have had double Doomguard.
Yeah. Wow. You don't really have an option here. Doomguard and hope you don't discard your other Doomguard? Or just play the egg. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And this is where the warrior can start stabilizing, armoring up every turn, gaining health every turn.
Well, I think he has an opportunity to slam down Lotheb here instead of armoring up and pushing.
He knows that there's no possible... Well, actually...
You can kill him next turn, potentially, if you draw into a little bit of extra damage here.
Yep.
Okay.
You just have to sacrifice the second Doom Guard, or just try and fight your luck and throw out the first Doom Guard, or you can tap and increase your odds.
Tap does not feel good.
Nope.
I think D2 might have gotten a little trigger happy here with the life tap. He's going to try to preserve his Doom Guard count.
Oh, wow.
Those were two of his burst cards that he
Wow.
really needed. And that's not good.
Yeah, he's still got Soulfires in his deck, but at this point, having to throw the Doom Guard into the Armor Smith seems like a little bit of desperation play. And wow, very great draw here with the execute. And he's going to be able to use that Acolyte of Pain. This is just, I mean, we said it. Hey, last game, D2 went into an unfavorable matchup, took a victory. This game, SilentStorm going into an unfavorable matchup, and it looks like he's going to take it as well. So maybe a little bit backwards, but you got to say how well SilentStorm just, how good of a hand he had early on.
It also could have been avoided, though. I feel like D2 had an opportunity as well.
Definitely, yeah. He could have had just a fresh Doom Guard on the board with nothing for... What does he put in his face? SilentStorm looks a little bit stressed out.
No, he's just really hoping that his opponent doesn't have anything. I mean, these competitions take a long time.
Yeah.
It's the reality of it. I mean, these guys have been up for about 6-7 hours of competing.
It's pretty stressful.
It is. That's like the worst draw you can draw at the moment. If Flame actually kills him. So, I mean, that's what he should have drawn when he tapped for a Doom Guard play and discarded that.
Yeah, and he realized that there's no way he can live next turn, and going to go ahead and kill himself with that Flame Imp. And SilentStorm's going to tie this series up at 1-1, going into a rough matchup for him. Being able to come out with a victory is a pretty big deal, because
that was a really big deal.
He's going to make it to that blind pick phase, which is going to give him sort of a second life. He knows that he's facing up against two decks that he might not be favored against.
For sure.
And this is going to give him a little bit of a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, especially coming into Priest versus Shaman, this one's going to be really tough.
Oh, yeah.
So, overall, well done by SilentStorm. And, you know, again, you have to kind of wonder what would have been if that double Doom Guard was able to come down instead of playing it too safe, essentially. Actually, no. Is it safe or aggressive? I don't know. I guess greedy is a term where you play like, oh, yeah, I want to tap while I have Doom Guard in hand. Usually when you get Doom Guard in the hand, your priority is to try to play it as fast as possible on the off chance you get Soulfire or Doom Guard, so that way you don't have to choose.
He wanted to get into a situation where he could empty his hand and still play the Doom Guard, and I think that is greed. And I think that being able to have two Doom Guards on the board at that part in the game, he could have cleared the board, put down a fresh Doom Guard, put some pressure on as well, which was at a point where SilentStorm was starting to get a little bit lower, and then he can't guarantee that's going to be a second Doom Guard, but on the off chance he still had three things left in his deck that Doom Guard would just absolutely not synergize with the two Soulfires and the second Doom Guard, so maybe a little bit of a misplay.
Well, he ended up taking the greed route, was punished, and I think it's he could afford to. He was up 1-0.
Yeah, yep.
The matchup could be blown out, and now it's tied 1-1, but he goes into a favorable matchup once again. And, you know, I like Priest versus Shaman every time.
Yeah, I will definitely agree with you on that one. It seems like the Priest just always has so many ways to be able to deal with usually the pretty spread out boards of a Shaman. Smaller creatures, lower amounts of life.
I feel like a couple things can come into play, though. We've seen SilentStorm beat a Priest before.
Yeah.
Through pure card count.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how inefficient you can be sometimes. If you have enough cards, Priest, you can just out-muscle the Priest a lot of times.
Yeah.
The big challenge is if you have card for card, Priest often uses like 2 cards to kill 5.
Yeah.
And then you're just down. So if SilentStorm can get in a similar position as he did yesterday in one of his matches, maybe we'll be able to see him take a 2-1 lead. Until then, I'm still siding with D2 on the favorable matchups here.
Shaman seems like SilentStorm's bread and butter deck. It seems like the deck that he goes to and that he feels the most comfortable playing. In my opinion, it feels like this is just his go-to deck. And so this is going to give him the best chance, even though it is an unfavorable matchup, even though it's going to be really tough for him to do it. It's still probably the best shot that he has. And his hand is, I would say, not the greatest. He does have a pretty good variety. And having that No Wish Inventor, it's not the greatest, but it's something that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's decent. It gives him the turn 3 play. And he's picked up some ways to be aggressive early and respond to the board, so I don't think it's the worst hand possible for SilentStorm. In fact, if he picks up Flame Tongue Totem or something equivalent to that, I think it's actually pretty decent, honestly.
Take that, Spider.
Ah, it's not too bad either. That's perfectly on curve, so his hand's improved dramatically.
Yes, it has. There's a Circle of Healing in D2's hand, so if he does draw into that, oh, he has Wild Pyro and Holy Nova. So he's got a lot of pieces to that puzzle that he's gonna need to be able to start clearing the board, but he's definitely normally being able to, or having to, just heal face and then pass the turn seems really underwhelming, but his hand is actually pretty good for what he's going up against. So later in the game he's going to have turns where he's going to be able to clear the entire board.
Still no need to rush from the priest perspective. You can still take your time. Sledge Belcher just softens everything up. I'm pretty sure this is going to evoke a Hex of some sort from SilentStorm. Oh, he's got Fire Elemental.
Yeah.
Of course you can use that as well.
And then another coin Fire Elemental, and then turn 6 another Fire Elemental. So he's curving out really nicely.
Of course, that's where the coin is so powerful with Shaman. You can hit some of these power turns really well, and more specifically, it also fixes the curve if things get overloaded a bit too much.
Yeah, it sort of gives you a little bit of a fix in case you get into that position where you're forced to use, or you can opt to choose to use something that's going to overload you next turn, and it just gives you more options. Well, I'd say that SilentStorm is in a pretty good position because now those clears that D2 had earlier on in the game, or that he was planning on using, aren't quite as effective.
Let's see.
You can cabal something here. Either the
Cabal on the spiders is okay. Cabal on even the taunt is honestly okay.
Yeah.
It really does depend. I'm trying to think if there's a Pyromancer play somewhere in here as well.
Pyromancer, Silence.
Don't think so.
No. Well, Pyromancer, Silence, Power Word Shield. Nope. Wouldn't be enough.
Well, I guess based off that evaluation, then I think the Cabal Shadow Priest is probably his best value play.
Yeah.
But then that opens him up to another Fire Elemental, no matter how he looks at it.
Yeah.
If you coin Fire Elemental, does that indicate that your opponent has another Fire Elemental, or is that no guarantee?
I think that is a pretty good indication because usually Shamans have a lot of other plays that they can make on turn 5. Usually Azure Drake is what comes down on turn 5. But I mean, it's really hard to make that read saying, oh, he coined Fire Elemental. He probably has a second Fire Elemental.
Right.
Oh, the sips per minute are really ramping up for D2.
He needs it. SilentStorm's putting on a lot of pressure. And he still doesn't have the Alkanite Soul Priest, which is his ultimate nuke button.
Yeah. And next turn he will have the Wild Pyro and Holy Nova combination, but it won't really be effective if there's 2 Fire Elementals on the board. If that's the route that SilentStorm decides to go. But with that Cabal Shadow Priest, it makes it a little bit more complicated for SilentStorm to make a good play here. I think you cleared off the probably Fire Elemental, the Cabal Shadow Priest, throw in your taunt.
Feels really bad to throw in the taunt though, because that's denying the spiders.
That's true. That's true.
I think Fire Elemental is your strongest tempo play though. It's just so powerful. And like you just hit face, you have Doomhammer in hand.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at a potential way to kill. Ooh.
Wow.
That's a board clear.
That is. And he'd still have, and then he could even Power Word Shield to dig for something else. So
that Alkanite allows him to deal damage. He can hero power before it, and also attack with the spiders in. You lose the remaining 1/1 tokens, but it's okay. I think it's worth it.
I don't think you're really too worried about that.
Plus, that's a second Fire Elemental, so he can't just shoot this priest down either.
Yeah. And I mean, in a way, having those Fire Elementals out of the way, it's got to feel pretty good.
It's very reassuring, although it's easy for this just to get bolted down.
Or not.
Still has a chance to draw, but
Yep.
I don't know how intent he feels on playing the Azure Drake just straight up vanilla and letting it get traded. It definitely doesn't feel great. I don't know if there's a lot of merit of playing the Doomhammer.
Play the Doomhammer and take 6.
I don't know how much, but I guess you take.
Or you just go face.
No, if you play Doomhammer, you're attacking face, right? Then you
I would think
him.
so. Why would you keep the? There's no reason to take out the Arcanine Soul Priest at this point.
Well, I guess since even though you don't have any guarantee of being able to follow it up, it's like I don't know. I've tried this route a few times. I played Shaman, and it's like
just trying to race or just trying to go face.
And like Priest just destroys you, and then they always have the option of like silencing their own Arcanine. It's like, well, I can just go back to healing mode. Like play Sludge Belcher, silence, start healing yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, oh, you actually just gave up your board. It's like I actually have had this happen to me several times already.
You having nightmares right now, Frodo, and you're like, oh god.
Well, I mean, SilentStorm,
this.
He's naturally a very aggressive player, and D2 is like, well, you just gave up your board opportunity initiative.
Well, he does turn onto the Rock Biter.
Yeah, Rock Biter is actually really clutch. And maybe he can use this to pair piece to gather some damage. I mean, it's starting to happen. Like, having that Hex for the Sludge Belcher is really important.
Yeah. But he's going to be able to heal up each turn.
Yeah, for sure.
And so
I mean, now he's got a Holy Nova and draw. Or maybe he can just heal up normally. Depends on how he wants to do it.
I think he can do both. Whoa.
Yep.
So starting to get out of that range. Doomhammer only has
it's got
4 charges.
double Rock Biter. Oh!
Wow! And he gives the sorry that happened emote, and just like that,
oh man,
SilentStorm is going to take a 2-1 lead.
He needed some help on that one because it could have easily ran away from him. But wow, that paid off in spades. And SilentStorm, you know what? Good for him.
Yeah,
because
that
we've seen SilentStorm be aggressive a lot of times in the past 2 days.
Yeah.
And like more often times than not, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It like actually fails just at the finish line.
Yeah.
And it's just like frustrating. And then you know, finally it paid off for him where he's able to get the runner. You know, that's the Savage Roar. That's the Rock Biter top deck right there.
Yeah. He had a couple outs in that situation though. He could have drawn. Well, actually no, because he used the Azure Drake from his hand, so even Lightning Bolt wouldn't have done it. But well, no, he was out of range of that. So yeah, that was really his only out in that situation. For that turn, the Priest was starting to build up a board, and Priest was starting to being able to heal up. So finally, his aggression paying off. A very timely double Rock Biter, and wow, he's going to take a 2-1 lead. And again, going into an unfavorable matchup and coming out on top. And now we go into that blind pick phase. What's it going to be? Oh,
Priest versus Priest.
Oh yes. Our favorite.
Well, you know, D2 obviously probably tilted a little bit based off what just happened there. He was in a pretty dominant spot. All he needed to do was stabilize 1 or 2 more turns, and the game would have been his.
Yep.
SilentStorm, on the other hand, his aggression paid off, and, you know, because he chose to go for that aggressive route, it once again has put him in position to advance. You know, I'm actually really impressed with how aggression is rewarded.
Yeah.
Just because it's not a call that people can easily make.
Yeah.
You know, they're always like, well, Shaman is about board. So it's like, why would I not just kill off the Arcanine or like deal with it and then play something on the board?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's a top deck, but at the same time, SilentStorm was the one who put himself in a position to win that game. He put himself in a position to where if he had drawn into that second Rock Biter, then that would have been his win condition. So he wasn't even out of the game yet, even if he didn't draw into that. So just very well played. But Priest versus Priest this time. Both these guys playing the very control-style Heavy Priest with Wild Pyromancers. I think we've only seen like 1 Death Rattle Priest, and it was from KXN yesterday. Everybody else is running the standard control.
Generally speaking, it's accepted that Control Priest is superior to Death Rattle Priest.
Yeah.
In most matchups.
Yeah.
Even in the mirror, you know, usually the faster Priest loses.
Yeah, yeah.
Because all you have to do is clear the board, and it's like, oh, actually I can't do anything.
Well, we see right now that D2 has the injured Blade Master, and SilentStorm does not.
Well, it's a little bit harder to stabilize if you don't have the
Circle of
healing.
That's very true.
So because of that, I think you're going to hold off on it.
Yeah.
And you're just going to hope that Shadow Madness or something can bail you out. It's a good start, but it's not doesn't guarantee anything. Good starts, I mean, good starts are nice to have in Priest vs. Priest, but it doesn't ensure anything from from my experience. Not only that, I've also seen Strife Crow go down to effectively 1 HP.
Yeah.
And climb back and end the game in like the 20s.
Oh yeah, at the North American BlizzCon qualifiers, he did exactly that.
Nice heads up play, by the way. This does do 1 damage AoE after you Shadow Madness it.
Yep.
So he gets a board clear.
Yeah, and that was really good by DTwo on the previous turn to actually, or no, by SilentStorm on the previous turn to not overextend on the board. He had a really great curve with Dark Cultist, but that would have played really nicely into like an Organized Circle of Healing.
Right.
And you know, since your opponent did nothing, just healed face and passed on the previous turn, you know that he's holding situational cards in his hand, and that would just be playing right into what he wanted.
It's not a sprint.
Definitely isn't. Oh, we know that for sure. Priest vs. Priest is far from a sprint.
It is. It's not even a marathon. It's like an Ironman competition.
Yeah, it's actually
with like 10. It's like a decathlon with 10 events each that lasts over a span of 7 weeks.
Yeah.
That's what a Priest vs. Priest is. It's an Ironman challenge. All right. Well, D2. In the meantime, even though he's been.
Yep. And what can he do here? Everything seems a little bit awkward.
Well, you can attack into your opponent's Sludge Belcher. Or I guess you can also hero power it down.
Yeah.
Same difference.
Yep. And then
Either way, you're taking 3 damage on your Alkanized.
Yep.
So
And this way you get a little. Well, actually, both ways
you take 3 damage on your
Yep.
Alkanized. So the difference is about the same, but that one was a slightly less fancier version, or more fancy, depends on how you look at it. And of course, D2 just takes it right back.
Yeah.
But does he have his own Cabal Shatter Priest to take it back? I think so.
that slime is just getting bounced around. I would do it. Why not?
Well, because you actually, I mean, I don't know how much you gain off of that. I guess you do put a 4/5 on the board though, and that's really nice.
And what else are you gonna steal with Cabal Shadow Priest? A Northshire Cleric?
Clerics.
Sometimes Northshire Clerics, especially later on in the game, can be a liability to steal.
Yeah, but you're not worried about that for a while.
I don't know, man. You got to think ahead when you're playing the Priest vs. Priest matchup.
But that's just some people think ahead, and then some people are just they're paranoid, and you have to avoid that.
Yeah. Ferdinand is my psychologist.
Well, it's there's people who are concerned about the next generation, right?
Yeah.
They're environmentally friendly. There's people who worry about just the most ridiculous kinds of invasions. Like every week, I just hear a new conspiracy theory of what kind of invasion will happen next.
Yeah.
It just baffles me.
The invasion of the bears.
Well, I mean, right now society is experiencing the invasion of the nerds. We're taking over, man.
Bears are scarier than nerds.
I disagree.
Whoa.
Have you been to Reddit before?
I have.
There's some tough people out there on the internet.
Really tough people.
Okay, well, let's see. He's got a full clear here. Does he want to expend his resources, though? It is a lot about resource management.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think if you keep the board clear and you keep a 4-power minion on, you can't really ask for much more.
Yeah.
Starting to get a little confused on who's who.
Yep. But that's normal.
Right.
It's a side effect of the Priest vs. Priest matchup. There's a lot of 4-health creatures flying around. A lot of things getting healed.
Yeah, other side effects may include drowsiness.
Yep.
A little bit of impatience, irritability.
Hunger.
Impatience, hunger. Sleep deprivation.
Yeah, so this is D2 right now. It doesn't seem like anybody really has a clear advantage.
No, and the whole thing is just keep the board clear until you recognize that you have a distinct card advantage or a board advantage. Sometimes Lotheb can lock the game.
Yeah.
If you have like 3 minions and they have like nothing, and
Yeah.
then you Lotheb, like say you Shadow Word Death and Lotheb, and then you push for like 12 damage, and all of a sudden you can kill them. But until then, it's all really about biding your time, which is why, it's like we said, resource management is very key.
Yeah. D2 has a little bit of a card advantage, but it's not by much, and the cards that they have, well, are pretty impactful, but I say D2, at least just by card standard, is a little bit ahead in this game. This is a tough decision for him to make right now.
Yeah, smashing that Dark Cultist doesn't gain that much, because the Dark Cultist will buff the Injured Blade Master to a 4/9 or 4/10 at least, in terms of how much it scales.
Yeah, but next turn you do have Sylvanas and Shadow or Death combination, so there's opportunities for you to be able to steal that away.
More cards.
Oh, hello cards.
Wow. Okay, so he decided to go for the card advantage here.
Yeah.
Coin mind control. That's actually like really funny that that's a possibility here. But because he's got Power Word Shield, he can actually snipe off.
Oh wow.
Oh, he's gonna overdraw him.
Oh my gosh!
Oh!
That is so many cards. 5 cards. And then he can even do more. Holy Smite and then heal him again.
Thought Steal doesn't really matter. Dark Cultist kind of does matter.
Well,
and
no.
Heal the Northshire?
Yeah. Or heal your own guy. Okay, you're already overdrawing enough.
Right, sorry, yeah. Thought Steal
we
again.
We got a little bit too crazy.
Sludge Belcher, passing it.
So many cards just burned right away. And that's using your opponent's card advantage against him.
So that matters only if he gets to fatigue.
Yeah.
Okay, that matters in about 6 turns at the least.
15-6. That is crazy. A 9 card advantage.
That was pretty sexy.
Yes, it was.
And here we thought making jokes about Priest vs. Peace being boring.
Nope. SilentStorm says, you know what? I've had enough of this Priest vs. Priest. I'm gonna go ham.
He did use a lot of his resources to make that possible.
I think that's sort of an all-in type play because he used a lot of his cards to make that happen, and he didn't really he didn't affect the board that much in doing all that. So he's basically saying, I hope that you don't have too many ways that can just give you overwhelming board control, because if that happens, then I don't know if I have the resources to be able to get myself back into this game.
Right.
He's sort of going to rely on getting D2 to fatigue at this point.
I wonder if D2 is just going to try and all-in on his board then, and make sure to buff up his creatures as much as possible. He has a clear here as well in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Depends on how he wants to do it.
Yep.
Okay, so he's going to Circle of Healing after he shoots everything down here. He's got to hurry up, though.
Yeah, he's running out of time, and
I don't know if he got this off in time. Did he heal? Did he heal? Did he heal? Oh no, he did not heal, and that's the second time we've seen a rope. And I definitely have to say that fatigue is settling in here, because D2 is playing again from Japan, and it's starting to come like 4 or 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And he looks more tired than ever. You can definitely tell that he's not on top of his A game right here. He's rattled for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what he's sipping in that cup, but whatever it is, it's not keeping him awake as effectively as he'd want to. And this is another. I mean, this play from SilentStorm looks like it's going to be paying off here. Still, though, that's a really underwhelming turn. And he could steal the Sylvanas.
Yeah, that was confusing for me.
Play Sylvanas and pass. You got to know that's
because he also had an opportunity to shoot down the Injured Blade Master, and he didn't.
Wow. Okay, so maybe both these guys suffering a little bit. But
all right, wait, no, there has to be a reason for that play. He didn't do it because if he shot it down, then there's a higher chance that Sylvanas doesn't steal anything of value?
Yeah.
Is that it?
I don't know.
So the game's moving a little too quickly now that we had it was like slow.
Oh god!
It was slow for a while, and then all of a sudden like the plays have been gone really quick.
We kicked back and we're like, oh god, Priest versus Priest. And then all of a sudden SilentStorm just blows his game wide open.
There's no silence available in D2's hand. and he doesn't have mind control yet. His only alternative is to just press for a win here.
Let me change your mind.
Yep, I completely agree. I think you have to just start loading up as much as you can.
Yeah.
Pray your opponent doesn't have a way to benefit off his Sylvanas, but he does.
Yeah, you're on a clock now because you're getting close to that fatigue. I believe he has, what, 4 cards remaining left in his deck? No, actually 3 even, because he used the Power Word Shield.
Yep.
So...
Silence. Okay, well he can heal and draw another card. I wonder if D2 can return the favor. Force his opponent to draw a lot.
Putting down a Northshire Cleric with so many creatures on the board as you get closer to the late game can be really dangerous.
10 to 2. Oh man.
But he doesn't have...
I mean, I think he should use Holy
Oh,
Nova
yeah.
this turn. Which is funny because it's going to make him draw.
Throw the slime into the Northshire Cleric. That's a lot of cards.
But,
Well,
I
then
mean,
you
it
clear the
is and it
Northshire.
isn't, because in the grand scheme of things, even though he makes him draw, is he going to really realistically kill him? Because if his opponent has 10 cards, remember, he burned a lot. He's not holding anything.
Yeah.
Is his best shot to, like, Shadow Word Death now and just, like, live with the consequences? Oh, he has Silence. Oh, he picked up Silence. I thought I was looking at the other person's hand. Both of them have Silence now.
Yeah. He could silence Shadow Word Death and then just push in for more damage. I mean, he could even Holy Nova just to keep all his creatures healthy at this point.
I really wonder if D2 is now thinking about opportunities to capitalize on what his opponent did to him earlier. Okay. And then this should kill off everything while still being able to force his opponent to draw.
Okay.
So his opponent's going to draw 5 cards.
Yep.
Is he going to overdraw as well? I think he might be at the limit.
No, he's at 9 cards, so he's okay. Well, no, that would be 10 cards unless I just saw that card come into his hand a little bit quicker.
I mean, SilentStorm needs to have a way to clear off this board. He did end up burning 1 card, but that was useless anyway. Shadow Word Death is usually one of the least impactful ones.
Yep. And he's already got a Shadow Word Death already in his hand, so... Alright, let's look at this crazy mess of a board right now.
He needs to not die. That's like the biggest priority.
Well, if he steals the Wild Pyromancer, then it's just going to get killed off with the Shadow Madness, so... D2 not quite what was planned. Tried to overdraw him, but only overdraw 1 card and basically just gave him more options to try and put himself back in this game. It's still going to be tough, and we saw D2 when he was in this position last time with so many cards in his hand and so many options available to him, he roped out and didn't make a very good play.
He realizes that Shadow Word Death's not going to go on anything else.
Yeah.
He could have used Holy Nova as a way to do other things.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to make him overdraw a lot like crazy like that, then probably not worth it.
Yeah.
This game might not even... fatigue is, again, might not even matter.
Yeah.
It only matters if D2 is completely decked out, which he still has a couple cards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he can clear everything but 1 creature here. If he silences the Wild Pyromancer, Shadow Madness, then Holy Nova, and throw the Pyromancer in, it clears everything but the... no, it wouldn't even clear that, so... He could Holy Smite, and that would clear it, but...
Okay, does D2 have a Shadow Madness?
No, but Mind Control...
That's a great draw right
yes.
now. Wow. Press in and put him down to just 3 health left. Did SilentStorm bite off more than he can chew by being too cute? I think so. I don't see a way for him to climb out of this one.
Oh, you can Shadow Madness the Sludge Belcher, throw it in. Holy... I don't even know. Holy Nova his Sludge Belcher and then heal his own chase. So that way he keeps the slime, is at 5 health. Wouldn't kill anything on the board, but it would keep him alive for another turn.
Yeah, Shadow Madness, Holy Smite seems to be the way to go here.
Yeah. Silence doesn't really do much of anything for him. Huh.
Just like watching at this point.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what his line of play is.
I'm actually like really baffled by what we just saw here. I think,
oh my god.
I think this is like the part of the episode where like both of the guys are trying to like.
He's dead. He's gonna get that sludge. Oh no! Wait.
No, this is.
That's it. He gets that sludge belcher back.
Yeah.
He's dead.
This is like part of the sitcom, you know, like the episode in Friends where they're like trying to arm wrestle each other, but like neither of them can beat each other because they're both like equally weak or something like that. Like, what's going on here, dude?
That was
so sloppy.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, he had a way to keep himself
I don't understand
alive.
what's going on.
He had a way to keep himself alive in their turn, but as soon as he silenced that sledge belcher, I think he just went.
Yeah, like I don't understand. Like, both players are much better than that.
Yeah.
And we like is because before in the previous games we saw them play very well. But you know what? Priest vs. Priest is one of the hardest matchups to play for sure.
Yeah.
And for good reason too, because there's lots of combat math. There's lots of very interesting and weird scenarios that you're not used to because of just the way Thought Steal works and how the hero powers and clears are. So that was entertaining, but I don't know if for the reasons that the players wanted to. That was entertaining for me personally because I was like, oh gosh, you know, I've actually gotten into so many situations like that where I roped and I'm like halfway through a pyro animation and then I end up like killing myself. I'm like, whatever.
Whatever, concede.
Yeah, it happens.
You think, oh, I'm about to make the sickest play, and then like your pyromancer dies halfway through your combo, and you just kind of sit there, concede.
I don't know. I had no clue what went on there. And at one point, we were both just like watching, like, why would you silence this sludge belcher?
I thought he was going to make a really crazy play that we didn't even see.
Right, I was like, I'm ready to be amazed. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? You can't make magic out of what happened, like what was in the hand there. SilentStorm tried to do something really cute of burning a lot of cards. And if it got to the fatigue stages, maybe it would have panned out. But, you know, like you said, you back the tiger into the corner, he has to leap. So at that point, DTwo just went all out in aggression, and now we have ourselves another Priest versus Priest.
They pick the same decks. Oh, jeez. Nice.
You realize that either of these guys who win and challenge Brian Kibler in the finals, we might get the same exact thing, Priest versus Priest for games 4 and 5.
Yeah. I think we're in for quite a bit of Priest versus Priest as this evening's going to go on. And I mean, we talk about player fatigue, but caster fatigue is a real thing as well, Frodan.
Nah, no such thing, no such thing.
Okay, well, we are going to jump into our second in a row Priest versus Priest matchup between DTwo and SilentStorm. Maybe these guys feeling a little bit of fatigue at the end of that game. They seemed not to be making the best of moves, but we'll see. They probably are refreshed after this one. It all comes down to this. The winner moves on to that finals and is automatically invited to our next week's Legendary Series. The loser still gets some points, but that's pretty much it. Consolation prize.
All right, so let's do it again. So, Priest versus Priest, do you ever start off with the turn 1 Northshire Cleric?
Well, if you think that, if you just want to have like an arms race where your opponent can play a turn 1 Northshire Cleric and then you guys are both just drawing cards off each other.
Is someone injured?
And that's exactly what's going to happen.
Sure. I don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
I guess you're okay with playing Pyromancer, though.
Yeah.
Because Pyromancer challenge is... The alternative is to silence.
Yeah,
so that way you can get up. You pay a card to effectively get up in card advantage over long term.
Yeah. I like this play. Because you're still going to give if you play the Pyromancer, you're still going to give your opponent a card next turn. But now he's got quite a few, well, not quite a few, but he's got a cheeky way to be able to help clear some things with the Pyromancer Power Word Shield combination. And looking a lot like last game, and looking a lot like Priest versus Priest matchups in general. Dark Cult is going to come out. No Entered Blade Masters in either of these guys' hands, though.
Not yet, not yet. We'll definitely see it become a factor later on.
I think SilentStorm's really feeling it right now.
Oh, he's not used to these kinds of tournaments.
He's a fast player. He likes to play fast, very fast-paced, aggressive kind of guy. Who knows? Maybe last game he went for that really aggressive, try and make your opponent overdraw and go to fatigue because he wanted to just speed up the game a little bit because that's just how the style that he likes to play. but you can tell he's definitely feeling it right now. D2 a little bit of a slower player, but well, yeah, and Priest, he's played quite a bit of Priest. What is he thinking about here? Does he want to try and use that Power Word Shield in tandem with the Wild Pyromancer?
Yeah, I just think you think how to protect your interests as best as possible.
Yeah.
And just draw more cards, get a card advantage.
Yep.
It's fine. I mean, D2's off to a very sharp lead. Now that he has Power Word, or now that he has a cleric that won't die immediately, and he's got Pyromancer with lots of spells, this is looking really good for D2.
Oh, SilentStorm feels safe and throws this injured Blademaster down, but
Nope.
this is going to get cleaned up pretty nicely.
It's gonna get shut down pretty hard.
Yeah.
Not quite what
And he realizes as well, D2 was actually in a very similar situation last game, where he was on a situation where he had a Northshire cleric
Like,
and
he's really worried about Auchenai Soul Priest and Clear right now.
yeah,
He's like, he realizes that he actually plays straight into an Auchenai Clear, and that's like a, he actually trades only one card for 3. Like, he
Yeah.
doesn't lose anything.
yeah.
So, SilentStorm's really worried about that, but I don't think he's thinking about Pyromancer and Holy Smite. So, in a way, his play is not incorrect.
Yeah.
It's theoretically incorrect, but practically it's actually fine.
Yeah. True story. What's D2 thinking about here, though? It seems like
I'd at best use this curve. Like, he doesn't have to use Pyromancer. He can also just use, like, Dark Cultist and Holy Smite,
yeah.
and then establish a little bit more board. Okay, you can also do that too.
Yeah, we can draw some cards. Well, he's still going to be able to clear off this injured Blademaster, which is still a big deal. But definitely really values that card advantage in this mirror matchup.
Getting as much mileage out of as possible. He's pretty invested into the play, right? Because on turn number 1, or turn number 2, he's silenced an opposing Northshire cleric. That means you're very dedicated to getting up in card count.
Yep. Using the Auchenai Soul Priest as sort of just a way to put on more pressure. SilentStorm really being the aggressor in this situation.
Well, I would normally think that Sludge Belcher here, popping a Sludge Belcher would be the best way to answer a board defensively. But I think he's contemplating whether or not he can play another opportunity, whether it's Thought Steal with Pyromancers,
Yep.
or like Dark Cultists and whatnot. But I generally, or maybe even prepare like next turn with Shadow Madness. Like, how does that factor in? So you have to plan your turns ahead, so that way you can bait your opponent to do anything you want. That's the most important thing.
You think even, okay, Sludge Belcher popped down. I would say I wouldn't even be surprised if he had just like passed that turn.
No, come on, he wouldn't pass the
Well,
turn. You pass the turn if you have Auchenai Soul Priest and Circle of Healing.
Well, next turn he had like good plays with Shadow Madness, but he would have been punished for it pretty heavily if his opponent had like a Sludge Belcher himself.
Sure.
But even then, he could have cleared the Sludge Belcher off with the. I mean, plays like that with the Shadow Madness. Right now, he's just sort of sacrificing his Sludge Belcher.
Ooh, that's good. Although I think if SilentStorm was really careful, he would have sacked in the 1/1.
Yeah.
Because otherwise Northshire Cleric would have just been sitting there. Right now, it's nothing more than basically a Paladin hero power.
Yeah. And this is basically the exact same situation he was in last turn, except that Auchenai Soul Priest has a little more health.
True.
Okay, so
Okay, well, I think he's got to make a play here somehow. Maybe just try and eliminate. Do
this
as much
is
damage as
nice. He's going to
possible.
be able to buff up his Wild Pyromancer while still clearing off the Dark Cultist and the Northshire Cleric, which I wasn't doing that much, but now he's going to have to trade not so favorably into this Wild Pyromancer.
Yeah, Shadow Madness is pretty clutch against Dark Cultists. It's actually one of its greatest weaknesses.
Yep.
Just in this matchup in general.
Yeah. I guess you could also call it one of its great strengths then, but for the other player.
I suppose so. So let's see what the Thought Steal is able to nab off. Oh wow, those are two high, really high impact cards.
Having access to two Sylvanas is actually a pretty big deal in this matchup because we see how impactful that can be in those later game stages where you can.
Well, it actually gives you uses of Shadow Word Death, which sometimes you don't get the luxury to.
Yep.
Injured Blade Master is also pretty decent. I mean, Cabal Shadow Priest is too. It's the bodies that matter the most. I think people highly overrate spells like Mind Control and even Shadow Madness to an extent.
Yeah.
With Holy Nova and Holy Fires, like those aren't the ones that make the high impact. It's just a straight up body count.
Yeah. Because you can control a board to an extent with spells, but you'll never be able to do anything more like push for damage or
exactly.
Put any type of threat on your opponent if you're just constantly using spells over and over again. So both players getting pretty decent Thought Steal targets, stealing each other's Cabals.
Alright, well, SilentStorm, he placed the Sludge Belcher and just like threatened to burn him, which was cool. D2, how does he respond to that big threat? I don't know if I'd be okay with him threatening me like that.
I definitely would not be.
More Thought Steals. Is there? Oh, wait, there's a Holy Nova opportunity here.
Yes, there is.
Draw cards. At this stage, I really wonder how much these guys are trying to plan their next steps versus just reacting.
It seems like they're just playing a very reactive style right now.
It's like at this point, it's like you can't be too sure of pan out because again, Thought Steal actually throws in a big wrench into things.
Yeah.
Like how do you play around the second Sylvanas in a way?
You don't.
Yep.
And I mean, with the board kind of like what's happening right now, it's kind of hard to plan your turns ahead to an extent. Because neither player has overwhelming control over the board. They're just sort of trading back and forth. And until one player really comes out as the one that's got complete control,
right?
Neither of them neither of them can think that they have the ability to start thinking ahead for their turns because they don't know what their opponent's going to do. And there's so many things that a priest can do that can just completely change the board or completely change your plan from the turn before. And that can even throw you off more than just playing reactively. So.
Well, it's basically musical cabals. Like you're just basically rotating cards here and there.
Yep.
Or it's like Red Rover with Cabal Shadow Priests. We send slime over. Cause you're gonna kill off the 1/3, right? Or I guess you can do the same thing, but take the Northshire Cleric.
I used to hate that game, man. There was always this kid.
You were bad at. Everyone who hates Red Rover was bad at it.
No, well, no. I just had when I was in like middle school, I had this kid that was always in my class, or maybe it was elementary school. That's a little bit too old for Red Rover, and he would always take.
You're never too old for Red Rover. This conversation's already meaningless to me.
He would always take Red Rover way too seriously. He'd be the guy that like would just start tackling people in Red Rover. You know when you make that line. You know when you make the line?
Yeah, of course.
Of
course I know the line.
And you gotta catch people.
We got actually in big trouble because a group of us played it in the high school hallway.
And they thought it was
we all got detention.
They thought you guys were fighting.
No, we were just trying to delay traffic between classes as long as possible.
Okay.
I did everything but study in high school.
Frodan,
including playing lots of video games.
Yeah.
So if Hearthstone came out, I definitely would have dropped out.
Letting the audience know that Frodan was once upon a time a juvenile delinquent.
Yes. And once upon a time I was 17 as well. So I understand a lot of the comments people make in Twitch chat.
Yes, thank you.
So D2 here, he actually has pretty good high impact Sylvanas. The scary thing is that his board's not really secure. So if he drops Sylvanas, then it's easy for it to get captured based off of like a Sylvanas Shadow Word Death play. So it's like a blink first type of move. This also gives him an opportunity to steal it. And once again, we default to a position where Cabal Shadow Priest actually has high impact to steal something.
Yes, it does.
Let me change your mind.
This is just so funny, man. Who, like, this is ridiculous.
Oh,
that's a great target to buff, by the way.
I think it might even be better. You think it would be better to buff the one that's lower health, so it doesn't get caught up in like a...
You're right.
Like a Holy Nova or Holy Smite, but still, either the best or the second best target.
Sure.
And wouldn't it be great if he Thought Stole another
Another Sylvanas?
Or no, another Cabal Shadow Priest.
No, another Sylvanas.
Yeah, another Sylvanas.
Oh wait, no, he can't. He's holding Sylvanas. So yeah, I guess another
Yeah.
Cabal Shadow Priest. But he already has 2 on the board, unless he took one of them through his Thought Steal, so that way he has another one.
Yeah.
This matchup's gotten very wonky.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I think Pyromancer plays here with Holy Smites and Power Shields are more than appropriate.
There's some big moves that he can make. Even with the Holy Fire, he can actually, wow, he can clear the whole,
Yep.
no, not with,
Thought Steal, Powered Shield, Holy Smite.
yeah. I was thinking more of Pyromancer, Holy Nova, or Holy Fire, Power Word Shield, Holy Smite. Would have cleared the whole board.
You're right. Was another opportunity, but
Yeah.
instead he's just basically trying to clear the board as best as he can.
Yeah.
And save the Holy Fire for when he really needs to, because if this only heals up to 4 or 5, he can still use Holy Fire.
Yeah, and this way he actually gets a little bit more cards out of it too.
Yeah, well done, well done, well done.
Well played.
Okay, so back over to D2. You know, it's okay to kill off this Pyromancer, make it a little bit weaker if you set up a really strong Injured Blade Master combo here.
Yeah. You just throw down the Injured Blade Master and
I think
North
we're
Clerk.
tired of Shadow Madness, so we don't play the Dark Cultist, but that's just me.
Yeah.
If you're feeling also like you want to draw more cards, you have the opportunity to play the Northshire Cleric and Circle of Healing.
Yeah.
Oh, with the Circle of Healing?
Yep. And then you draw a couple cards. He's going to heal first just to keep that.
Sure. Well, you're going to use Circle of Healing afterwards.
Oh, yeah, that's
after
going to be
you
the
drop
line of play.
everything. So, I like drawing a few cards here. It's okay, again, just to climb back into the count while securing a strong board.
Couldn't he have put the Northshire Cleric down first before he healed the Cabal Shadow Priest to get an extra card?
You are correct, but maybe he only wanted 2 cards and didn't want 3.
That's true. How many cards? Oh, we can't look. You're on the other point of view.
I am.
Okay.
Would you like a nice little wave on across the cards?
Yes, I would.
Whee!
Oh, that's so nice. That feels great.
Okay.
After a long priest versus priest matchup, there's nothing like a good card swipe to get me back in the mood.
Credit card. All right, 10 cards to 9 is remaining, so they're about even in fatigue. They're 2/3 through their deck.
Okay, so maybe that's a smart choice to be a little bit conservative with how many cards you're drawing at this point.
I never, ever feel good about playing Sylvanas straight up on the board, just because I understand exactly what's gonna happen. It's like,
Yep.
oh, well, this is what happens. They're gonna Sylvanas steal, and they're gonna take it back. But the most important thing about this entire ordeal is that you're doing damage in the process. He's Shadow or Death stealing, but he's also doing 9 damage right back.
Yeah.
So this is where it's like, it's reminiscent of the beta where people would play 8 mana mind controls,
Yeah.
and you mind control 1 minion, but whoever had the first mind control was at a disadvantage if there was a minion on the board, because
Yeah.
you'd just be doing damage every single turn.
Yeah. That's a big swing play.
So like, even if you mind control, it's like, cool, and then he mind controls it back and he does 9 damage. Like,
Yeah.
this is actually a really bad spot for SilentStorm.
Yeah. I think
It's like the same exact thing, I swear, I'm having deja vu.
I think he might have gotten a little bit too impatient and just didn't feel like thinking through like multiple plays and just threw down the Sylvanas hoping that he didn't have an immediate answer for it.
Alright, well, he has Alkanite, but he doesn't have a Circle of Healing, which is unfortunate. He can Holy Fire, and he can Shadow or Death, but that doesn't clear anything. Or other than the Sylvanas.
Nope. I mean, he can set up for Holy Nova next turn, but that's never a reliable thing to do when you're playing against the Priest, because they'll just heal it out of range.
Guess he could Holy Fire the Cabal Shadow Priest, Shadow Madness the Northshire Cleric, and kill it off.
That's true. Very true.
This effectively does the same thing anyways, though.
Yep.
Shadow or Death is more mana efficient. You can play a minion and heal it up.
And also, it takes more damage off the board immediately. It takes 5 damage off the board immediately instead of... No, I guess it would still be 5 damage, because you'd be taking a Northshire Cleric off as well.
I think he has to play the Injured Blade Master and heal it up now.
Doesn't feel good, but...
Whoa! Oh, man.
That's telegraphing a Holy Nova if I've ever seen it. But maybe he doesn't care, because he knows that he's got that Northshire Cleric on the board, so if he heals it up...
Yeah, he's got 9 damage right now. 11. Put him to 6. draw 2 cards, not a big deal.
Yeah, and the Power Word Shield would get him even further through his deck.
Which is fine. Again, you're so high up in the health count, you'd be pressuring. The only thing you're worried about is overextending into a board clear, like Akanai Soul Priest and Circle of Healing.
Yeah. And to take your injured Blade Master out of that range would mean you're drawing 3 cards.
Okay, Power Word Shield, just to be a little conservative and see. Ooh. Oh, that's really close to killing him.
14 damage on the board.
Alright, so he's just going to opt to load up his board a little bit, and I like it. It's a conservative mixed approach because, again, he's worried about the Akanai Soul Priest Circle of Healing. D2 is playing very well, despite the fact that he's fatigued in the previous game. And SilentStorm looks like he is going to have to try to silence this, hero power that down with the Akanai and clear. But that puts him at a point where he can't necessarily heal, right?
Yeah. It's a little bit of a liability to have that on the board, and he no longer has... He used the silence very early on. Or was that him that used it? Yeah, he's used the silence. So there's not really a way here. Huh.
Okay, D2 picks up Thought Steal. I'm not sure how useful it is on this turn, just because you're not hurting on the card count.
Yeah. Are we on D2's perspective, or are we on... Can we mouse over the cards? 3 cards, there we go.
Wow. How many Cabal Shadow Priests have we seen this game?
6. He's stolen 3. And D2 plays, and SilentStorm plays 2. And D2 plays 1.
No, that's not... Your math was so off on that.
No. Okay. SilentStorm plays 2 Cabal Shadow Priests. D2 plays 1 Cabal Shadow Priest.
Oh, okay, so you're
and
saying
D2 has Thought Stolen 3 of them, so we've seen 6 so far. Maybe.
I have no time for games.
Hashtag they did the math.
You know, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, Prodan. I didn't do the math.
Yeah, well, you could have fooled me, man.
6 seemed like a fantastic number to throw out in that situation.
He actually has to suicide both of these minions, and that's really inconvenient.
Yeah.
I don't see an alternative because you can't just push through and hope it takes like a different minion.
Nope.
And then as a result, you play a strictly worse minion to the 2 that you had. I guess the consolation is that you get to heal up, and that you are ahead in terms of fatigue. This has gotten very stressful for D2 because he realizes he's on his last few cards. So whatever he's holding is what he has to work with.
And his hand right now just isn't too immediately impactful. It doesn't immediately affect really much anything. How is he going to deal with this Sledge Belcher? Holy Fire? And then what does he play as a follow-up?
Akanai.
Oh, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Then he can sort of start pushing.
But in his back of his mind, he also knows that his opponent has Cabal Shadow Priest. So he most likely wants to deal with, like, he wants to use Holy Fire on his Cabal Shadow Priest.
Yeah.
So now that he's drawn what D2's already scouted, it's going to be down to similar situation as we did previous game. And by the way, SilentStorm was once upon a time down to single digits. He's bouncing back to evening up the health count. That's just what Priest is.
He was at 8 health at his lowest, I do believe.
That's a pretty important draw here for D2. Having that Akanai with the Circle of Healing gives him the final say.
SilentStorm's smiling about something over there. It's hard to be happy when you're this stressed in a Priest vs. Priest mirror, but he's making it work.
Well, you know, there's like the 5 stages of sleep deprivation. Right? He's probably in delirium right now.
Yep, that's probably exactly right. And well, D2 here. Okay, well, this is basically the exact same situation that he found him in last turn, but he's going to be able to play this Akanai Soul Priest.
I'm okay with the Akanai being played here, even though you're somewhat worried about the health.
Yeah. Well, he's still hanging in there. And this is his second. This is going to be D2's second to last card, right?
Yeah, he's playing this.
Oh no, that's his last card.
Slow. He's been playing this so slow. It's got me pretty worried. I think now he has to just Holy Fire and then play.
Play
Doc
it.
and I.
Yeah. I mean, he could even.
Wow.
Whoa, that's it?
He wants to. He just wants to be really defensive.
I guess so.
But like, there's no pressure for SilentStorm, right? He could just like. He can attack, heal, and pass.
Yeah.
Because his opponent's on fatigue. The onus is on D2 to present a threat, and then that's going to give him, like, D2 is going to have to play like Akanai, shoot the hero power down, and then.
Yeah, this is all he has left. He's got to work with these cards for the rest of the game.
Oh, okay, I know why. Because he wanted Cabal Shadow Priest get value.
Yep.
But then his opponent's going to get Cabal Shadow Priest value too.
And we're bouncing back the slime. I think it was this game. It's hard to remember. This one and the last one are started blending together, but. That's just a lot of Cabal Shadow Priest that we've seen. And
I
most of the
wonder
targets
how
have been
much
the slime.
the Sylvanas will have a big role in here. I think D2's played this a little too slow. He didn't.
Well, if he builds up a board, then how's he going to be able to deal with that Sylvanas without sacrificing all of his creatures? He can Shadow or Death, but then he'll steal. This could actually turn into SilentStorm's favor. He's nodding his head. He's saying, you know what? I might be okay with the situation that we're in right now.
Yeah, because now Sylvanas is a legitimate threat.
And D2's down to 3 cards left. Well, 5 cards effectively what he has on the board, but how's he going to answer this?
Well, then, here's a bigger question. Can D2 race and fast enough? Like, can he just ignore Sylvanas and force Sylvanas to attack twice?
No. I don't think so.
I think this is his only option. He can't waste 8 damage here, like, trying to kill off Sylvanas. He actually has to pressure. And because D2 played this so slow, it's like this Sylvanas actually has such a big say into things. He's going to hold on to Akanai Soul Priest. He has to play one, doesn't he?
Oh, well.
Oh, he's going to calculate fatigue because SilentStorm's out of cards as well. Oh, he has a Shadow or Death as his last card.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that is bad news. We forgot about that one.
And I don't know, but I think that's... No, he's on 4 fatigue damage right now, so he's going to be taking at least 9 damage next turn. This is... And he's got Holy Nova still as well, plus Shadow Madness.
Right, but he's going to... Now that Sylvanas out, he's just going to pressure. But the Shadow Madness is a big difference maker, like you said.
Oh, he can...
Wait. I think he can just disarm him, right? So if you
Shadow Madness.
if you Shadow Madness and then
Holy Nova.
Yeah, or even just like hero power down.
Hero power down, yeah.
Yeah. Then you disarm him completely, and that's gonna do it. And D2 is gonna fall short at the finish line. SilentStorm is gonna go to the top 2 and get an invite for next week.
Look
and he
at
pumps
him
his
go.
arm.
Yeah.
Because that one was very close.
A marathon of Priest versus Priest matchups, and D2 has to be a little bit disappointed. Of course, he did have a good performance this week, and of course, this week he only made it because of his performance last week. So he's had quite a bit of success recently. Maybe played that game a little too greedily towards the end there. He definitely needed to play a little bit faster, knowing that he was going to hit fatigue first. He got caught up with a lot of awkward cards and awkward situations in his hand, but SilentStorm looked rough, but he made it work.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I have to commend both players' stamina at that point to think rationally and make some plays, and commend your stamina as well. You held in there pretty well.
Thank you.
And commend you guys for hanging out and being able to enjoy the broadcast. That game and series is brought to you by Newegg. Go to esl.gg/Newegg Esports to find out all cool stuff about our partners, Crucial and Western Digital. That wraps up the second semifinals, and that sets up the stage for Brian Kibler versus SilentStorm.
Yep.
Cool news is that both these guys get an invite for week 4. Next week will be Goblins versus Gnomes, where we'll get to see these guys play in full force, whatever they want. And I'm looking forward to SilentStorm deck building. This guy I was hyping up yesterday. I think this guy is one of the best players that's undiscovered talent so far.
Yeah, I would definitely agree there. And also, there's a big list of invites. I'm not going to go ahead and reveal those yet because I don't know the full lineup, and I'm not sure if they're confirmed. But definitely, it's going to be great. But again, we still have one more match to go. The finals between these guys. This is to determine points. Those points, the more points you get, the more likely you are to be invited to that
Sure.
8-person LAN $20,000 final. It's going to happen here in the Burbank ESL studios. And I'm sure that Brian Kibler and SilentStorm are going to be very excited to have a chance to compete next week and to play in this final matchup that we have today.
Yep, sounds good. So, guys, stay tuned with more action from ESL's Hearthstone Legendary Series. Will continue right after this quick break.